It will potentially be the largest crucial and contentious paper on environment changing in latter year. Guideline scientists are meet in southward Korea the 1 week to see if world temperature can be stored of growing by more than rather than the age. The planet has already gone one extent of heating as carbon sequestration emissions include ballooned with the 1850s. Lot cheap-lying countries say they may vanish by the sea if the range is breached. Following a 1 week of debate in the town of Incheon, the researchers' new paper will potentially say how compliance under the range will need immediate and drama activity of governments and individuals like. 2017 is on year to be for warmest year 10 coldest year 20th age ordinary heat colder. While the Paris Environment Treaty was signed in December 2015, down there was pleasure and surprise party amongst lot convention delegates how countries had coordinated how the length-term purpose of the agreement should be to hold world temperature so under 2 degrees C over before industrial levels and to conduct efforts to range the heat growth though future to 1.5 degrees C. To inspect the challenges and impacts of compliance temperature under the range, the UN requested the IPCC to make a specific paper that the research flesh has brought in recording period. The 1 week in Incheon, the scientists and by the government convention delegates will go via the definitive, brief, 15 web-page executive summary for policymakers, the key distilling of the main research accountable. The will be made speech by speech, to provide everyone, scientists and governments like, are in treaty on the lyrics. The paper will be the guidance lighting for governments as they solve how to evolve their economies in the person of growing temperature above the upcoming many decades. Yet our lives, while compliance it under in designed people growth and economical increase, will as well see otherwise. Lives of human beings will never be the identical once again each path, but we can impact that next we end up in. Order currently, the planet has gone one extent of heating over the world temperature how pertained about 1850, up common industrialization. Leaked drafts of the new paper propose how world heating is on path to break down the mark by about 2040. The is potential really bad news story for cheap-lying Isle state and several of the low advanced countries in the planet who terror how will reason ocean level to growth and endanger their surviving. Disappointed, yours web browser cannot screen the map slow and rather thoroughly. The specific paper has been nearly 3 years in the manufacturing. The authors are all scientists who include been designated by governments and world institutions. In the instance, down there are 86 conduct authors of 39 countries, of that 39% are women. These researchers, who are outstanding, include discuss the accessible research publication on the practicability, impacts and expenses of stay-by. They include later put along project versions of their paper, following possessing discussed several 6,000 references all said. These project accountable were shipped out to some expert and governments for overview. In full, the paper has had above 40,000 overview comments. Since so lot human beings are implicated, and all these overview comments include been undertaken on executive board, the IPCC has a repute for creature quite prudent, making accountable how include a really wide unanimity. Such implicated say the broadband of publication and the big quantity of authors implicated is a key force of the flesh. We don't basis our accountable on a solitary paper how has an excess finding, how contrasts in the accessible publication, told Dr. Carolina Vera, a term of the IPCC office. This joint type of the accessible publication is the largest strong deposit how we can ensure to the governments. If you add up all the promises to cut carbon sequestration done by countries how include signed the Paris Environment Treaty, it would see the planet hot by more than rather than 3°C by the end of the age. For several scientists, down there is not quite period leftward to get the actions how would hold the planet during the desirable range. If you very see severely at the practicability, it looks love it will be really difficult to achieve the, told Professor Arthur Peterson, of College School London and a ex-IPCC term. I am comparatively skeptical how we can encounter, though in an excess. Scientists can vision up how is probable, but he's a pipe dream. As so as the scientific, down there is as well the policy. For several countries, particularly such who are main exporting countries of fossil embers, restrictive carbon sequestration emissions more than quickly rather than at this is a problem. This common big issue in the paper is how we can yet get to how purpose? Which does it get, told Kaisaka Sonnen of Greenpeace. Down there are such for whom is a question of lifetime or die and they wish the communication to be precise. Other might wish to propose how down there is not research confidence and the messages, for sample on fast fossil fuel stage out, should not be so simple. The problem of compliance temperature under 1.5 is significant. Yet, if it is recognized by the governments, the paper will potential say how it can be made, if the planet is readily to get several really hard stares. These are potential to engage in strengthening of intermittent to CO2 emissions, a fast go to revolving power and rather perhaps, the deploy of technologies to absorb hothouse gases of the airborne. The recent stock option is seen as very contentious. The paper will as well potential country how way of life and diet option can do a considerable distinction, but down there are no easy or inexpensive solutions. Down there is no lightweight reply, it is a lot more than complex reply, told Professor Jim Ski, who company chairs one of the IPCC work groups. It has natural beginnings, it has public beginnings, it has policy beginnings. The paper, as it is scoped, allows us to go in these issues, but a crispy reply I don't believe is which we were requested for by governments. Down there has been rather a bit of assumption how the scientists are creature constrained to suit the table of contents of the paper, or drag their punches, on several of the main conclusions. Which's happened is how down there include been noticeable changes among various project versions of the brief executive summary for policymakers, that will be liberated formally on Monday, October 8. That has led several critics to sign how essential aspects are creature downplayed to fit the interests of countries in main fossil gas industries, such as the joint state, Saudi Arabia and Australia. But members of the IPCC say how they will not enable their conclusions to be flooded downward for the following few days while the executive summary is lost via link by link. Which is very essential for the job of the IPCC is the honor for the consistency and research strictness of the authors, how is at the cardiac of the job of the writer teams, told Rampardari Masandalmat, a company chair of the Flesh. If one can think the government's keeping the hands of the scientists, the tool you don't aware how scientific plant. Rather potential, affirmative. IPCC sessions are close of the social, to enable governments and scientists to say easily. Governments frequently search to do changes to the lyrics, the scientists are down there to provide how if changes are done, they are consecutive in the study. I've never been to an adoption meeting how didn't go so following several hours, he's type of IPCC work experience currently, told Professor Ski. Completely it will be a strong meeting and we are so geared up for he.